Good evening. This next video is going to be about one of my favorite bands, The Cure. It's going to be my experience, my first time listening to them, and um, basically my perception about the band and the great things that it has given me throughout my life. Um, my first experience with The Cure goes way back to when I was 13 years old. Um, one of my dear friends, um, um, which we shared a lot of, well, not a lot, but we had a lot of interest in rock music, similar likes um, during that era. Uh, Listened probably to the same radio stations, K Rock and KLOS. Um, we liked the Chili Peppers. Uh, let's see what else. Nine Inch Nails. Um, Maybe something else. What else did we like that I knew that we had in common? Oh, we had all these likes and dislikes that were similar. And one day, I loaned her a CD. I gave her one of my favorite CDs. I said, hey, you got to listen to this music because I knew she liked Soundgarden. So I asked her to. I said, listen to this Chris Cornell, his Euphoria Morning. Is it Euphoria Morning? Euphoria Morning, which is one of my favorite records. Um, so I lent her the CD because I thought it was so incredibly well made, and I loved everything about the CD, and I knew that she would enjoy it. And when she returned the CD, um, within underneath the suite, underneath the Euphoria Morning, was Disintegration by The Cure. Um, I didn't uh, I didn't know what to. Um, I don't know whether she had left it there on purpose or maybe she forgot it there. Or anyways, uh, I put the CD on my CD player. I think I figured it out. I opened the case. I think it was a Friday or a Thursday or close to the weekend. I had like a couple days to listen to it, and as soon as I heard that music, Disintegration, it's just that first opening track. It it I was in complete awe of everything that I was listening to. I couldn't believe how incredible uh, incredible it sounded. Now that I have the vocabulary to express it, I think I felt like a sense of space, deepness, epic, um, epic longing, and just just the most amazing melodies I had ever heard. I didn't really listen to the whole CD. I listened to the first couple tracks, um, but I liked it. I liked it a lot, and I guess I didn't really pay attention to it for the next couple of weeks. And um, after I gave her back the CD, I said, "Hey, you know what? You left your CD in my case." She's like, "Oh, I forgot. I left that. I forgot. I was listening to that CD too." Um, a couple of days later, I think it was that same week, I went to Tower Records, and uh, I couldn't find Disintegration. I couldn't find that one, so I got this one. I can't find it. This is a case for another CD. Um, I lost my original copy, but this is the first. This is the original first Cure CD. For some reason I I kept the book somewhere in a different part of my collection, and I lost the CD. Um, well, thankfully I have the booklet, which is a great thing to have kept, or just luckily I kept it. Um, this thing completely um, enveloped. Uh, why am I sharing this? Because most recently I started viewing the videos that I've been sharing about guitar playing and what I consider to be good music, or the music that has moved me in my life. And I think at that time, specifically at that time, besides Chris Cornell, I was really into guitar playing. When I mean guitar playing, I mean I was into virtuosity. I was listening to a lot of Steve Vai. I was listening to a lot of prog rock. I'm trying to think of what else, but I know Steve Vai was very, very, very important. For the Love of God, that CD, Passion and Warfare, really completely uh, interested me. I was into tapping, um, maybe a little Van Halen. I was listening to OU812 for any Van Halen fans. I was really into the Sammy Hagar records, and my stepdad had a really good Van Halen collection. He was always a David Lee Roth fan, more of a David Lee Roth fan. He really liked Sammy Hagar, but my thing was OU812 and Steve Vai for that for that that phase of my guitar interest. I'm trying to think of something else. Um, Steve Vai, Stevie Ray Vaughan was important because I was learning blues, and something else, something that I was really into. Oh well, the greats, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton. I was listening to a lot of Cream, and I was really into um, the jam part of music of bands. I think the Jimi Hendrix part, the first Jimi Hendrix album, the whole idea of between excuse me, I gotta blow my nose. Um, let's see if I can. Anyways, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut video because I want this to be as natural as possible. Um, so I was really into the virtuosity aspect of music, maybe like the gymnastics of guitar playing, the speed, the I don't know the virtuosity, the complexity of trying to play fast, trying to play with both hands, trying to play tapping, um, maybe really into like the gymnastics of it, like showing off your skills, like playing with your teeth, playing behind your head. All this stuff was really interesting to me. And I was listening to the English, the British, the Masters of Jimmy Page. I was heavily into Led Zeppelin, Eric Clapton, Cream, and I wasn't listening to Jeff Beck a lot. I was listening to, who was the other one? I'm trying to think. Jeff Beck, Jimi Hendrix. I was listening to Jimi Hendrix, and I was really into the uh, the solo aspect of guitar playing, and I was the thing that makes guitar playing so great. Uh, on the surface, right? On the surface, things that are evidently great, something everybody can see and can be completely convinced that it's entertaining, it's beautiful, it's great, it's interesting, right? Um, but something happened when I started listening to this. I put this thing on my stereo, and I just, the whole thing. I was really into not touching the skip track. A lot of people, I remember, a lot of friends were into skipping tracks, and I'd like to. Whenever I bought a CD, I would like to just leave the CD in the player and let it run. And this thing completely changed my life. It it I couldn't explain it at the time, but um, it felt like I had listened to this before, right? As I listened to this thing, I felt a deep, uh, like my memory had gone somewhere, um, into maybe like a dark infancy, a dark past. When I mean dark, I don't mean negative. I mean like mysterious, beautiful, romantic. Um, like as I as I as I developed, um, um, the guitar playing aspect, I was looking for more music. Another. I remember the guitar player now, John Petrucci from. Um, I didn't know about Dream Theater. I did know about the Liquid. I'm sorry, I did know about Dream Theater, but the album that I got was Liquid Tension Experiment. I'm sure you've heard about that if you're into guitar playing, if you're fans of John Petrucci. Um, I I was completely blown away by the Liquid Tension Experiment. It was the first opening track. The first two tracks were just incredible. I wanted to play like that. I wanted to be like that. But as soon as I heard this, everything changed for me. Because of the same reasons that I had I felt while listening to Disintegration was, um, I felt space. I felt, like I said, these dark moods, which which I had for some reason I had this feeling that I've heard this before. I've heard this before. I don't know if it was, maybe when I was maybe when I was younger, maybe when I was, maybe from a movie, maybe from something. I didn't know. I didn't know where I've heard this sound. This sound is so familiar to me. I've heard this before, and I completely, um, I was, I completely enveloped myself in listening to this over and over again. Uh, there's there's a track here. It's called "Apart." It's really dark song, romantic, and um, uh, it's like, longing for love and lost love, and these lyrics are very like, um, I'll get to that. These lyrics are very well written, and the structure within this music is incredible. Um, the synths in that song "Apart," I think they're from other records I've heard before from the '80s, and they really captured me. They really grabbed me. I could feel those pads, those synth pads, um, those moods. I really loved the way that this music was completely changing me, um, in a really good way. In a really good way. I wasn't sure what it was, but it was something. This thing was incredibly, um, addictive to listen to. The something that I, excuse me, give me a second. Uh, Another track that I really love in this thing is Trust, which has similar mood to Apart. Both of those tracks really grabbed me. And then the last one, when he says, "Please stop loving me, please stop loving me. I am none of these things." I think it's a reminiscence to almost a reference to what I felt when I first heard Kurt Cobain, and I heard Nirvana, and just that whole '90s vibe of angst and I guess anti-perfection. Yeah, like more like I'm sad and I think it's cool. Like leave me alone. I love to be sad, and it's a beautiful feeling. Life is dark. Really, it's beautiful, right? It's a beautiful thing to 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 experience. This music is very beautiful. Well, in my opinion. So there's two things I'd like to talk about in my upbringing. I grew up in Los Angeles, and something that I was really addicted to was I don't want to use the word addicted because it's probably not the right synonym. But I was really captured by English literature at a very young age. I don't know if any of you have heard this of The Secret Garden. One of I think it was my third grade English teacher, Miss Buchanan. I still remember her name. She one of her one of her one of part of her curriculum was that we had to read The Secret Garden, and we had to do a play on it, which I did both, and I enjoyed. I really loved to read. It was one of my favorite things in school. It's something I probably I didn't share with my friends in high school. Maybe because I didn't want to seem weak or um, sensitive, or I wanted to be part of the gang. And but one of the things that really captured me was English literature, and that book, The Secret Garden. It really showed me how beautiful reading and language, and I started viewing words as almost like maps into the imagination. Later on, fifth grade, sixth grade, we would watch movies. Sometimes, depending after we would read the book, any other book, I can't remember what other book. We would watch movies based on the book, and some of the stuff that I was watching was like almost like art cinema, and I was really learning. I was really learning about becoming an artist and literature, and how beautiful words, paragraphs, poetry was. Was. I think later on I started. I think I can't remember the first time I really got into poetry. I remember getting a Jim Morrison book, one of his poetry books. This was in high school, but before that we were reading a lot of interesting things in school. I can't remember everything, but I remember The Secret Garden. I remember I don't know if you've heard of Maniac McGee. That's something I read on my own, and I thought that was a really good book, and I was really proud of myself for reading that. So, anyways, when I started viewing this stuff, the way it looked I'm not talking about the images. I'm talking about the way the words are structured within each song. It really um, like magically made sense to me. All this passion, romanticism, feelings, and emotions. Um, Anyways, this is just me kind of giving the Cure a sort of, what's that word? I'm just happy I found this record thanks to my friend. She said that she was what this was one of her favorite bands in high school, and always be showing. Um, she would always be carrying these albums around, and so I had this one, and this thing just blew my mind incredibly. It was out of this world, and I'm thankful that I have this and that it exists. So thank you for this. um, the other part that I wanted to talk about, explain, was guitar playing. Um, I was going through a phase of virtuosity, um, guitar gymnastics, guitar complexity, very very complex music that required a lot of highly um, like high knowledge of music and skill, the guitar, the electric guitar, etc., etc. And then when I when I found this, I I started listening to the background. I started listening to not so much the drums and the bass, but I started listening to mood, ambience, um, and composition. And when after this is when I felt like I found something that within the music that I wasn't listening to when I was listening to those other artists. Okay, so some time passed, and then this thing right here was this was my breaking point in guitar playing. It was almost like a climax, a revelation, uh, the thing that separates someone who plays guitar from a guitar player. Those things are two different things, right? And this was something this is something I was thinking about in high school with my band. Um, I don't know if we probably shared this stuff, but this was more my thing that I was developing because I was buying Guitar Player magazine and Guitar World, but there was stuff in Guitar Player magazine that was making this very clear that there's two different kinds of I don't want to sound pretentious or you know, kind of like arrogant, but it's an idea that I've been thinking about since high school. There's people who play guitar, and then there's guitar players, and this was the thing that clarified that for me. This is someone who is a guitar player. How do I why do I say this with certainty? And there's something in the way the guitar is presented, it's treated, it's shown in this type of music. Excuse me. It's not very how do I'm trying to grasp the idea. It's not presented as the greatest thing in the world. It's presented as almost like as a thing that helps me get ideas across. So that whole idea of that there's a I mean I was listening to a lot of bands, and I knew that there was people who played guitar, like that was clear. There's a lot of people who play guitar, a lot of people who play drums, a lot of people who play bass, but there's a thing between people who play guitar and guitar players, and that was in Guitar Player magazine. and guitar players, like for me, this is the epitome of what a guitar player should be doing in a band. Not always, because of course there's a difference, right? There's a difference between Steve Vai, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and this stuff, right? This stuff has a purpose of its own. But the thing that I started clinging on after I listened to this, and then especially after I listened to this, I realized the type of guitar player that I wanted to become. And I wasn't completely put off. I wasn't like, I knew that I didn't want to do what Steve Vai was doing, even though I'm coming back to that now. This is a point in time where I'm coming back to that, and I realize my the importance and how important that music is uh, in my learning and in composition. I still think Passion and Warfare is one of the records that changed the way I looked at music. But within a band context, like for example, if I was going to call my friends to let's go jam, let's make some compositions. That kind of guitar player that I would probably look for me. This is my personal. This whole video is about me and my experience with the Cure. Is every time I pick up the guitar and I plug it in, or I'm here in my studio and I want to start creating stuff, this is the kind of musician I want to become. I'm completely. I know it's this is more like a. It's almost it's the same with John Lennon. It happened to me with the Beatles. The way he carried himself in that band and the way he played. The same thing with George Harrison. George Harrison playing within that band. It's looking for the simplest, most not elegant, most intricate way of coming through the music. And I think George Harrison has that. Something happens when you listen to Sgt. Pepper's. I think that's what happened to me when I first listened to this. What was the? It's everything about it. It's everything about it. Not so much the art, because I guess I didn't really pay attention to the art. I'm guessing this is an old man in the sea or near a sea or something. There's not really much artwork to it. It's very very simple, very basic. It's but this thing, killing an Arab. I wasn't sure what at that time. I wasn't really listening to lyrics in depth. Like I didn't really start to sit down and he's talking about like murder and I think it's a whole different thing. I think he's just using the word for mood, and he's using it's probably not politically correct, and it's probably not something that I'm in favor of. Killing people, whether Arab or not. I think it's more of setting a mood and expressing something he was trying to convey, right? Not something he was feeling, but something he was seeing, right? He was something he could communicate, and the only way he was going to communicate was with those specific words. And the guitar playing, he's using an Arabic scale. I'm guessing that's I don't know exactly what scale it is, but it's very very what is it called? Yeah, very Middle Eastern. 10:15 on a Saturday night. Yeah, all this whole thing. I remember I remember laying on my bed and listening to this. The lights were off. I had the stereo. I had a bunk bed, and I laid on top of. I laid on the top bunk, and I put the stereo down. Down on the floor. And I think it was everybody was asleep, and I just turned I turned up the stereo, not very loud, but but every track that from one track to the next, it completely. I was sent to a different place. I was completely. I've never experienced anything like this before. I think some people experience it with other bands, right? Some people might say they experience the same thing when they listen to the Beatles, um, maybe Pink Floyd, yeah. But it's completely different. It was a completely different thing for me. This thing sent me into a new place. I could almost see those chords, not in the sense of notes, or not like notes on a staff, not notes on staff paper, but I could feel. It's almost like texture, right? Texture, like when you touch something, like clothes, or when you. I could feel those chords. Uh, not as a virtuosity thing, not like chords here and notes here and then speed and light and all this stuff really fast, but it's almost like a painting, right? I felt like somebody was slowly smearing ambience all over the room, and it was incredibly inspiring. And and I'll never forget this. The first time I heard this thing, it really uh, yeah, enveloped me at that time. Um, a forest, obviously, a forest. If you've heard this, a forest, jumping someone else's train. The way he's playing the guitar, it's not technique. It's not like I know how to play a guitar very well. It's more like I'm using what I have to the best of my ability, and all this other stuff that you can hear in the background. It's very thin. I don't know if it's a Q or maybe it was that Harrison console that they used. I think it was the Harrison console that they used. Uh, I don't know if it had to do with the equipment or the guitar sounded clanky, like cheap um, cheap aluminum. Uh, the rhythms, the way it was, because it's considered punk music, but it felt really thin, and I've heard it described as angular. Like it wasn't round, it wasn't colorful, but it was angular and jaggedy and very rhythmic and dance. It's just like dance music, but it very thin and almost not disturbing, but like kind of annoying, right? Kind of annoying, but in a great way, in a really great way. It's incredible. Charlotte sometimes. I don't know if you've heard that video. Charlotte sometimes. If you've seen that video, Charlotte sometimes. The way that thing is spaced out is so gloomy and dark and depressing in a great way. It's very saturated uh, with dissonance within the harmony. I don't know if that makes sense. There's like this dissonance, but like he's singing. I don't know if it's out of tune. No, it's in tune, but it's like it's like uh, it's like anger, but beautifully. Mm, Beautifully disruptive. Uh, yeah, it was a great experience listening to this for the first time. Um, in between days, that's an incredible song. And a night like this, obviously, a night like this. I've heard a live version of a night like this with a live sax solo, which is mind blowing. Anyways, yeah, well, that's my story. That's the video. I know I've really talked about this. This is one of my favorite bands. Uh, if you guys get into this, if you guys ever want to listen to these records, I highly recommend them. Disintegration is another masterpiece. 13 seconds. What's the other one? Faith. Those two, 13 seconds, Faith, are um, are, 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 are each an experience of their own. Um, Very beautiful music. I think it's going back to literature, talking about the Secret Garden. There was something about, I don't know if it's that European English, British, or maybe like uh, medievalish thing. Um, um, it's really strange moods, dark. It's a different dark. It's not like a horror movie, right? It's not like yeah. Anyways, it's not horror dark. It's like mood, uh, gloom, that gothic period. Maybe I don't know why it's considered gothic. They're called they're considered a gothic band. I guess I can see the whole thing. Maybe the whole cathedral. I can see cathedrals and uh, maybe sorrow, despair, um, constant, um, constant gloom, right? Constant gloom, constant darkness, which is I don't know. For some reason, it's very inspiring to me. I guess this happens also when I listen to Nine Inch Nails. For anybody who's into Nine Inch Nails, they if you've heard Ghosts, that thing. There's another thing that really completely changed the way I saw music. Um, I think that it's different aspects, right? Um, so yeah, I just wanted to share that. I think somebody asked me, for example, another thing that was happening at that time while I was listening to The Cure was all these bands were on K Rock. The Chili Peppers got back together, and the Chili Peppers were listening to a lot of Cure. I know John Frusciante and Flea were listening to 13 Seconds and Faith, and you can hear it in his guitar playing. Um, um, what these other bands? I think Tool. I think Maynard talks about being very influenced by um, The Cure and Robert Smith, and you can hear it in those. I think in some Perfect Circle covers. I think they did a love song cover, and the way this music is played in that era, all these modern bands. Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst talks about being inspired by Robert Smith and The Cure, and you can hear it in the effects that they use. They use a lot of delays, reverbs, and just the ambience that comes across. Corn. Um, What's this other? I don't know if you've heard of this one band. My friend, another friend from high school, said that he really enjoyed. So we I think he got the record and we were listening to it. It's called One Side Zero. I don't think they got a lot of play, but it's a lot of that it's a lot of that stuff influenced from this music. So my guitar playing completely changed, and I started working on my uh, becoming a guitar player, not showing off scales and speed. And I really wanted to be good at. I really wanted to be good at conveying texture, mood, ambience. That's what I was looking for after I heard this music. I'm getting back into music. It's I guitar playing. I love jazz. I love classical music. I think it has something. I think that's the thing. Studying classical music in university, I think that there's this thing that classical music has. It's very textural and almost what do you call that when like thready, not thready, uh, ornamental. Classical music has this ornamental thing within the texture, within the composition that this stuff has. So that's why I think I always reference this as highly, um, like very classy instances here where there's ornamental stuff. It sounds very classical, almost like a, I don't want to say film, more like um, symphonic mood. It's not movie. It's just, this isn't. It's like in the. It's like quite not. It's its own thing. It's just, which is really incredible. Um, all these other bands. I was One Side Zero. Tool has it in composition. They have this. I know that Danny Carey. They're more of Adam Jones. They're more into prog rock. But the mood that's being set by Maynard in the melody, the main melody is very very reminiscent of the Cure. It sounds very similar. There's something that's really connected to that to that. Same thing with the Deftones. If it's another great band, the Deftones. If you listen to those Deftones covers, something happened. It's almost like the listening to. I don't know if you another great record is Depeche Mode Ultra. Listening to the Deftones and Depeche Mode Ultra is another thing that is, oh, it's mind blowing. Depeche Mode Ultra, it has that texture thing, texture, ambience, weight. It has a lot of weight and slow but structured movement, right? Um, a lot of great stuff. I'm not putting off any prog rock bands because I love prog rock. I'm gonna start getting back into that. Start getting back into Steve Vai. I really like the Ultrazone. That was something that was happening while I was listening to this stuff. I was kind of putting off Steve Vai and the you know the whole gymnastics of guitar. But as soon as I started reading more about this was a few years ago, I started reading more about Frank Zappa. I saw that Frank Zappa documentary. For anybody who's interested in Frank Zappa, um, it's it's very. I think it's a BBC documentary. He talks about um, learning composition and his interest in Edgar Versailles Edgar. Oh, it's a French composer, which completely changed his life. Um, and then Frank Zappa, then composition, and uh, and then Steve Vai joining his band at 17. Um, like it's there's no question about what's good and Steve Vai being good or bad or the Cure. Because I started listening to this was better than it was just something that um, that was happening in music, in modern music at the time in the late 90s. Um, um, but then I most recently I saw that, well, a few years ago I saw the Frank Zappa documentary, and obviously I know what great musician Steve Vai is, and learning and reading Guitar Player magazine and Guitar World, there was a lot of advertisement for the Ultrazone, the Steve Vai Ultrazone. I've heard that one. There's another one after that. It's a different. I forgot the name of it. The light, something light. I'm not sure what it's a drawing of him on the cover. Really great music. Really great. It's very fast. It's very complicated, and it's guitar gymnastics, but it's great. It's great. It's great. It's great. So I'm getting back into both, and yeah, this thing really. Um, for anybody who's learning guitar, and I know a lot of young people, a lot of young players are wondering what's good, what to listen to. The same thing with equipment. Um, I can't tell you that everything is good, because if you get something you don't like it, then it's a whole different story. But um, a lot of equipment is good that's out there. Um, I don't know if you've seen those multi effects pedals. It's like five different effects in one. Um, I loved it. I loved it a lot. But when I saw these professionals on stage with single boss pedals, it made me kind of envious that I wanted more effects, and I thought doing that was more professional, and it probably sounded better. Excuse me. Yeah, it's probably why I brought water. Because I'm speaking, I think. I don't know. Get nervous. Mm. But now that I know how to use equipment a lot better, um, it's having a lot of patience, sitting there and dialing in stuff. When I was younger, I was very impatient. I like plugged in the guitar and I just started moving stuff around and playing this and then pressing buttons, almost in a hurry, right? Now that I know how to use equipment better, I take my time. I take my time setting the thing up, plugging in everything correctly in the guitar before I start turning anything on. I'm more careful now, uh, because I know that if I do that and I'm judicious about the way I treat my equipment, then I'm gonna get way better results, right? And that's this is probably another lesson for any young players out there. Um, let's see what else. So yeah, no, it's just there's a lot of good equipment out there. There's a lot of I know a lot of. I remember being young and having musicians friend catalog and wanting to know what to get. I have a birthday coming up or Christmas is coming up. I'm saving up money. I want to get something. What should I get? Uh, Anything you get will be of good quality. Um, don't expect incredible results right away. You have to really spend time with your equipment. Don't try to overdo it. Don't get a pedal, for example. Don't get that. Don't get a pedal because a great player has it and expect the same exact results. You're probably not gonna be disappointed. Um, get the equipment knowing that you have to work at it. It's almost like another instrument. You have to dial in, experiment, take your time, make sure you plug it and everything. Um, Try not to do things in a hurry. This is really good advice because when I was younger, I was uh, I was in a hurry to maybe to impress my friends and to impress myself. And this stuff doesn't work that way. You have to take your time and be very cautious of what how you're plugging stuff in, what's going into what. Now everybody has computers. You guys can record a lot of stuff now. It's at your disposal. Cell phones, because somebody has a cell phone, so let's hurry up and show off and be great right away. And that's not going to happen if you're doing everything at with the intent of impressing and doing everything fast. I learned that the hard way. I learned that you have to be calm. You have to set up your equipment. You have to take your time. Make sure everything is plugged in. Make sure you're getting the right voltage. Don't. I think in a different video I explained about plugging stuff in and the wattage. Don't overdo it with plugging stuff in really fast and turning amps and turning everything on. You got to be very careful with this stuff. I recently bought this orange amp, and I'm really very happy with it. Uh, I'm very careful with it. I was reading the manual after I did those videos, and it says that before turning it on, you have to have everything on zero. So It's something I didn't know, and I don't know if it happens with every amp. Maybe my Marshall needed the same kind of care. But no, I was in a hurry and I wanted to plug in and jam, and it's normal, right? It's something normal. But the manual says that you got to have everything at zero, plug it in. Then when the guitar is plugged in and everything's ready, then you can turn it on. Once it's on, then you can gradually start EQing it, not slam everything all the time, right? Not just go from 0 to 10 right away. You gotta let the amp warm up. Be be uh, be patient because it's equipment. It's not magic. It's not something that's gonna uh, the same thing with computers, right? I know that a lot of people are making records on computers and they're expecting instant results. And something that I learned was that you want to do everything slowly, and as you progress, you're gonna see that by doing this, by taking your time, by slowing down, by dialing in slowly the sounds that you want. You got to start using more your ears. You're going to be a lot happier than if you just start slamming everything right away and fast. That I already know how to record, and I know how to solo. I know what to do. I know what I want. I know this and this and this and fast, and it's a lot of stuff, right? It's a lot of stuff. So you gotta slow down and take your time. Sometimes recording sessions will take more than a day. If you're gonna record a band, I'm not saying that the drummer has to do 20 takes of the same song. I'm saying that your equipment has to be set up properly. The mic can't be um, dangling, or it can't be. The mic has to be placed correctly in the right place. You got to take your time. You got to use your ears. Got to relax. Got to you know that it's going to take a long time to make a record, or that it's going to take a long time to make anything sound good. Yeah, even if it's just practice, right? If I'm probably gonna make another video about this last thing I'm talking about. I'm gonna set up my equipment and show you how long it takes me. It still takes a long time. It's a thing of patience and care, right? I love my equipment. I really want to take care of it. I don't want to turn it on and all of a sudden, what happened? Something blew out. I don't know. Oh, how expensive is it to fix? If the amp was expensive, imagine how much it's going to cost to fix. So be patient. Be patient. Um, yeah. Anyways, that's my cure story. I hope you guys get to experience. Not everybody's gonna like this, I understand, but this is my um, um, my wake up my thing that showed me a different aspect of music composition and guitar playing, um, and especially this one, the staring at the sea. If you listen to the production, not the production, if you listen to the guitar alone, it sounds very clanky, and I'm sorry, the sound of aluminum. Um, it's not your big chord wall of sound, um, layered textured guitar playing, which is very of course Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton, great guitar playing. My favorite, Jimmy Page, is my favorite guitar player. But Robert Smith is, I would say, close to uh, I would put Robert Smith up there with in the guitar playing. It's just a completely different experience. Um, yeah, it's a different experience. So yeah, um, these two. Another. I think another great one is if Blood Flowers is an incredible record. I love it from beginning to end. It's 1999, I think 1999, 2000, all over again. I love that record. And if you guys, if you really start getting into this, you could probably check out this trilogy, the Cure trilogy on DVD. It's 3 nights of the Cure. They play three Pornography, which is another great record. It's part of that Faith in 13 Seconds, but like with more speed and not speed, more almost like more production. So it's Pornography, Disintegration, and Blood Flowers. They play. I think they play them. I don't think they play everything in one night. I'm not sure. Maybe they do play in one night. I think it's 3 different nights. They play 3 different records. But they play them in their entirety, which is amazing. The Pornography live is it's it's uh, it's watching Robert Smith also play the guitar. If you guys are really into, if you start getting into it, check out that. I think he also plays "Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me," which is in a different record. Um, uh, that guitar playing is very. It's not chaotic. It's not show offy. It's not glamorous, but it does what it has to do at the right time with the right energy, ambience, and it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing, and I think it's the it's it's the climax from someone who plays guitar in a band and knows a lot of things, licks, probably knows his scales, knows his keys, but this is different. This is someone who is convinced of convinced and knows about uh, the music and the art that he's creating at the time that he's doing it. Um, I know it sounds a little bit pretentious, but it's a little more complicated than that. But once you start listening to the Cure, you'll see what I'm talking about. Um, Anyways, I know a lot of famous people love Robert Smith, and Robert Smith is a great inspiration. Soda Stereo, Gustavo Cerati. I know he's talked about Robert Smith. I think he also in in when he was younger, Soda Stereo, they used to dress up like the Cure. Um, the the people I've mentioned, I know Chino Moreno from Deftones is highly influenced by the Cure. If you've seen MTV Icons, there's a whole concert dedicated and a big homage to the band, which is really incredible. Another great one is Mood Swings. I love that. I love the strings in what is it? The first track is I'm always wanting more. Everything anyways, that whole record is really good. Specifically this track. I'm trying to remember. There's a lot of there's like 3 or 4 tracks where in Mood Swings where Robert Smith is playing acoustic guitar over strings, and it sounds really really orchestral, and it sounds classy, but very melodic and very beautiful. Anyways, this is my homage to the band and to everything that how inspirational they've been to me. Um, I'll probably make more of these. I'll probably do that thing with the setting up the amp. Something that'll probably help um, other other students and other musicians. Anyways, thank you for listening. I hope you guys are inspired in some way to listen to this band or to take your guitar playing to a new level. All right, thank you for listening.